It's 5 questions with Brenda. So for my guest this week, I'm very, very honoured to finally get to talk to the wonderful Johnny Melton, sometimes known as Jonny Slut. Honestly, the legal wranglings we've been through to try and get this sorted out. My people talking to his people, contracts, going through the contracts with the fine-tooth fleet comb. Anyway, so welcome, Johnny. Thank you for coming. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, what made you decide to start wearing pop socks on your hands?
Hello, Brenda. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your top-rated podcast. Thrilled and honoured to be here. Your first question is about pop socks on my arms, on my hands. Well, I think around sort of about 1982, which was probably when I first started doing such a thing, it was a bit of a sartorial trope, really, wasn't it? I think I can remember seeing Susie on Top of the Pops with her pop socks on her arms, and I guess I thought, well, if it's good enough for Susie, it's good enough for me.
So when you started the dark movements in the band The Specimen, which is probably one of the pop groups you're most famous for being in, now how did you end up being in that band? Did you go and audition for them? Did you announce for an advert in the back of Smash Hits? Did you bump into someone on the bus and your eyes met and you just got a connection? I don't know, how did it work? Was it just because your hairdo was good? Anyway, please tell us the truth.
How I joined The Specimen? Well, I think it was a big case of being in the right place at the right time, wearing the right pop socks. I'd read about this club called the Batcave in the summer of '82, I think, in NME or something, and it sounded great because the music policy was well, it was kind of punk and glam rock, and it also had a no funk policy. And I've been going to clubs in London and having a good time, but I was never really into the music. I used to go to clubs like the Beetroot, and they'd be kind of playing, I don't know, Blue Rondo a la Turk and Latino stuff and Spandau Ballet and whatever. That wasn't really my thing. I kind of liked music that was a little bit harder and a little bit darker, as you say. So anyway, I managed to get myself to London, and the first place I went to was the Batcave with my friend Linda. And apparently I was spotted there the first week by John Klein, the guitarist of The Specimen. I'd never heard of The Specimen, by the way. And then the second week, Ollie, the lead singer, approached me and put it to me. He said, oh, you know, we're looking for a keyboard player. Would you like to join our band? And at first I was a bit like, well, yeah, I would, but I can't play keyboards. And he was like, oh, that doesn't matter, you know, anyone can learn to play keyboards, which is true. And yeah, and yes, I did have fantastic hair. So I think that was a major, I think that got me the gig. So yes, does that answer your question? I hope it does.
But when I go out for a night out and I want to go dancing, I like to go to a nightclub called something like the Crystal Goblet or the Grieving Scribble or somewhere like that. But you, after the dark movement had ended and you joined a new group called Diskord Datkord, that had all finished, and then you were in the wilderness, weren't you, really? Then you saw Top of the Pops one night and you were inspired to open your own nightclub. And that nightclub was called Nag Nag Nag. I mean, I really would never have gone there with a club with a name like that. But I wanted you to tell us about that, please.
Well, first off, can I do a shameless plug and say that the Diskord Datkord single Identity, which was a cover of the X-Ray Spec song, which was single of the week in NME in 1988, has just been re-released with some fabulous new remixes, a couple of which feature Baby Bam from the Jungle Brothers. It's been available on all the best download and streaming sites since Friday, so yeah, check it out, buy it. But yeah, Nag 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 happened because I'd been DJing for years, and I'd always liked sort of punky, slightly electronic sounding stuff. And around that time there was a burgeoning scene which was called Electra Clash, which I think had started in New York and by Larry T. Lots of bands that were kind of fronted by shouty girls, which I've always loved in music. I love post-punk shouty girl bands, and it was all quite queer, and yeah, just punky and kind of energetic and a not boring four to the floor dance music, which I've kind of always hated. And I heard two tracks on the radio. Pete Tong played Fisher Spooner's Emerge and Adults Hand to Phone on the same night, one Friday night. And I heard these tracks and I just thought, fuck, I've been right all these years. This is what it's about. This is the future. And so that's kind of what inspired me to get off my arse and start my own club called Nag Nag Nag. And Nag 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 seemed an appropriate name because the track Nag 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 by Cabaret Voltaire obviously is where I got the name from, and it's always been one of my favourite kind of songs to do the hoovering to, and it seemed to be appropriate, so that's why I did it.
Now, around that time, you were in a pop group called Atomizer. Now, I mean, I don't know much about Atomizer other than the songs about lesbians, and I think you played a stylophone or something like that, and you sang and you danced. And what I want to know is, did you play concerts? Did you go abroad? Were you on Top of the Pops? Were you on telly? Did people write about you? Did people like what you were doing? I know that people like you enough to have them your CDs re-released, aren't they now? So that's exciting for a younger generation. But please tell us about that.
Well, Atomizer started in the year 2000. My friend Jimmy Corty, who's one half of the KLF, got in touch with me and asked if I wanted to do a track with him. So yeah, we did this track called Hooked on Radiation, and it went well and it sounded great and people seemed to like it, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I need a band to do this with rather than do it as a solo project. So, and I come up with the name Atomizer anyway. So I looked around for someone. I did do that whole thing of putting adverts in Melody Maker and that, but it just got nowhere. But this club, Substation South, I used to DJ at. I think I might have mentioned it earlier. I met this guy called Phil who was working the cloakroom, who had a keyboard, and so I got him involved, and we started writing, and yeah, it seemed to go well. We worked well creatively together. He also was one of the DJs at Nag Nag Nag, so kind of Atomizer and Nag 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 happened at the same time, really. But yeah, miraculously, we managed to squeeze a 10-year career out of it. And yeah, we did. Yeah, we gigged a lot. We went all over the world. Partly because Nag 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 was so successful. Yeah, we went everywhere. We went all over Europe. We went to Russia. We went to China. We went to South America, the States, Scandinavia. Did a lot. And yeah, people seemed to like what we were doing, jumping around in a glittery codpiece and spitting fake blood at people. What's not to like?
Jonny, every evening when you sit on your veranda, looking at your Devonshire sea view from your luxury property, with a glass of Beaujolais with your pedigree dogs by your side, do you smile as you look wistfully in the sunset, and as it slowly starts to get dark, do you think of that little boy who clung onto his father's cold earlobes for comfort? And do you think what that little boy might think about what he might turn into?
For those not in the know, I must have told Brenda at some point that when I was a little boy, my favourite thing to do, when I was about 3 or 4, whatever, was when my dad used to get home from work, I used to sit on his lap and hold his ear. I really like cold ears. Always have, always will. And yeah, I used to sit there holding his cold ear until one got warm. Then I'd go around the other side and hold that one and suck on a piece of bread. Make of that what you will. Well, yeah, I think that little boy would be okay with how I am now. I mean, all I ever really wanted to do was be in a band from probably about 10, and I really didn't want to do anything else. I certainly never wanted a real proper job. So I think that little boy would kind of be okay with how I turned out. And you summed up my evenings to a T. You must be psychic or something, because yeah, weather permitting, I'm usually sat out there gawping at the view with a nice glass of wine with my dog on my lap. So yeah, anyway, it's been lovely talking to you, Brenda, And lots of love to everyone in Hull. I do hope to visit at some point to sample the delights of Bob Carver's chip shop. And I'd love a trip up to Cliff Dunn's car park. And what I'd really, really like is for you to introduce me to Tong the Cunt Under. Anyway, lots of love. Bye-bye.
Then kiss, kiss, bang, bang, he'd gone. And it was all like a magical dream. You know, I found it hard to believe I actually had that conversation with him. It was so magical. So thanks again, Johnny Melton, stroke Jonny Slut, stroke whatever else you might be known as, dare I say, Journey. Anyway, thanks again for helping me with this wonderful little experiment, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. See you next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to go to my Instagram, Brenda _the_shapeshifter. Bye.